on the phone. It is a pleasure to welcome to the program Chief of Huffington Post Washington News Bureau. Is that the correct title, Ryan? That works? Okay, good. Then I will say Chief of the Washington News Bureau at Huffington Post, Ryan Grimm. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Sam.
So, all right, let's jump right into it. We all thought that at least for the time being, that Fast Track Authority was dead when the Democrats finally said, hey, you know what? We're not going to vote for this one thing that we like, trade assistance, because we know this is going to enable the thing that we really don't want in the first place, which is the Fast Track Authority and the TPP. So where are we on this? You wrote in a piece that where we could be headed is the House may actually take up Fast Track without the trade adjustment assistance. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. And on Friday, when everybody was celebrating, I actually was saying at the time that Democrats or progressive Democrats at least are going to be in for the feeling pretty soon that the Seattle Seahawks fans appreciate, and anybody who watched the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones kind of appreciates this whiplash feeling of you're right there on the 1 yard line, you're about to win the Super Bowl, and wait a minute, that guy has the ball. Why does he have the ball? What happened? What? And in the days after that, I started feeling a little guilty. I thought, well, maybe I jumped the gun and actually, the progressives in the House are actually going to hold on here. But no, that does not appear to be the case at this point. As soon as Boehner showed on Friday that he had 219 votes for Fast Track without, after the TAA money went down, the workers' assistance money went down. That was a huge sign.
So he took just basically a vote to get basically a whip count, right? It was a non-binding vote. Okay.
Right. Exactly. And once you had those 219, and everybody said, well, these 28 Democrats wouldn't be there, if they knew it was a real vote. And it's like, well, that's not exactly how Congress works. If you're going to take a vote, even if it's symbolic, it's going to come back to you in in an election season. So you have to be sure about your vote. And a close look at the 28 Democrats on that list shows very, very few who you would even speculate might drop off. Beto O'Rourke, a pretty progressive Democrat from El Paso, is one possibility. Jared Polis, a pretty progressive from Colorado, is another possibility. Maybe Quigley in Chicago. But after those couple guys, it's really hard to see who on that list of 28 drops off. And so if you have enough Democrats to go along with Republicans to pass Fast Track without TAA, then all you really have is a procedural problem, because you have the Senate on board, you have a majority in the House on board, you have the White House on board, you have all of the weight of global corporate power behind you. If the only thing standing between all of that and getting the thing they want is a band of recalcitrant House Democrats, then these people are going to get the thing they want. That's kind of the basic way of looking at it.
All right. So if it passes in the House, if Fast Track Authority passes in the House without TAA, right, they would have to bring it up again for another vote that is more meaningful. Wouldn't it have to go to the Senate to reconcile this, because the bill coming out of the Senate is different from the bill coming out of the House?
Yes, and there's some fascinating kind of textbook game theory going on. What Boehner and McConnell and Obama have to convince Senate Democrats of is that they're going to pass Fast Track, but they're also going to get the workers' assistance. They're going to get this money. They're going to get it after they do Fast Track, but don't worry, we're going to get it. So they're going to give the Senate two different votes. One will be on clean Fast Track with no assistance. A separate vote will be on the assistance. Now, House Democrats are going to keep saying, look, we're not voting for this assistance. So they're lying to you. There is going to be no workers' assistance. And so it'll be up to Boehner, Obama, and McConnell to say, no. Trust us, we're going to get it. And this is how we're going to get it. We're going to pass Fast Track clean in the Senate. We're going to move it to the White House. President's going to sign it into law. At that point, fast track is a fait accompli, and progressive Democrats are not going to stiff us on aid to workers just out of spite. In other words, once we've called their bluff, once we've passed fast track and shown them that we can pass fast track, they're going to buckle.
Okay. All right. So
that's their play.
Let me just lay this out for people so they understand. Initially, what happened is Democrats said, we don't want this fast track authority without trade assistance because we want to temper this fast track authority. We don't really want the fast track authority. I'm just broadly speaking.
Right.
But if we do pass it, we want this bill that will supposedly mitigate the problems of these type of trade deals. Let's put aside the fact whether it actually works or not. If it does, it doesn't do much. In the House, they realize, like, you know what? Instead of getting the mitigating of the thing that we don't like, we're just not going to vote for the mitigating thing we don't like and vote against the thing we don't like, and then that way it fails. And now, this is round two, and it's like, okay, we're gonna pass fast track authority without you guys, and then we're gonna give you the option. Do you want the mitigating thing or not? Are you really gonna vote against something that mitigates and if the Democrats in the House can make the case to the Democrats in the Senate that we're not going to vote for this, no matter what, you're going to be responsible for pay, and this is going to put you in jeopardy, right? I mean, because okay,
yeah,
and
maybe the better argument that House Democrats could make is Boehner is lying to you. He doesn't have the Republican votes. Let's say even if all of us Democrats agree to vote for this aid to workers. Boehner doesn't have the votes for, he doesn't have the votes to deliver it to get us into a majority, and so therefore, it's implausible for him to tell you that he's going to be able to get this aid to workers. Now, I think he probably could get the votes, but that I think that's an even more persuasive case because it's much more believable that Republicans are going to stiff workers than that progressive Democrats are going to stiff workers. It's just progressive Democrats making that threat. It was extremely impressive that they did it on Friday because that's one of the first times they've acted tactically ever.
Right.
But for them to do it all the way to the end, is kind of hard for, I think,
it would be impossible for them to do. It would be impossible for them to. I mean, once it's already passed, how could they not try and mitigate the all right, so from an activist standpoint, all right, there's nothing that there's nowhere for people to call to say, unless it's like calling, I guess, the senators.
The Senate, the Senate Democrats. That's where the organizing moves to now. That's where the fight is. You need to, if you're an activist, you need to say, look, Senate Democrat, you better not vote for fast track without assistance to workers, and because if you do, we're going to be mad at you, and because there's no way that you can trust McConnell and Boehner to deliver this aid to workers. So, my understanding is that they don't yet have 60 commitments from senators to pass this because of this very reluctance on the part of Senate Democrats to say, okay, sure, we'll trust McConnell and Boehner on this. So that's where the big fight is. I think the fight in the House is over at this point.
So who are the Democrats? I mean, who are the ones that people should be talking about? Patty Murray, Wyden?
Yeah, maybe a Heidkamp. Certainly Wyden. Wyden is kind of Wyden has said he won't do fast track without assistance. You've got Maria Cantwell, maybe even a Mark Warner. There are no Democrat wants to do a free trade deal without some assistance for dislocated workers. There isn't a single Democrat who wants to do that. There are plenty of Democrats who are willing to do it if that's the only option they're presented with. But any of the ones who voted for it before are candidates for holding back.
And I guess it's just got to be like, are you really going to trust John Boehner to deliver for workers?
Right.
Why are you putting
Right.
Workers' fates in the hands of John Boehner? And are there are there any Republicans who could end up flipping against this? I mean, with everything that's happening in the GOP primary, is there any dynamics there that could make it impossible?
I talked to one guy who's kind of close to Boehner. There's so much pessimism around Boehner's circle around, with regard to the Tea Party that said maybe they're just going to, maybe House rank and file just votes against it just because, they're not the most predictable bunch.
Right.
I don't see any reason why they would change their behavior. But this is not a crew that has followed kind of a 1, 2, 3 force logic to get to where they are now. And it's already such a twisted thing for them to be giving fast track authority to a guy that they don't view as a legitimate president and who, allegedly overreaches his power at every step. Now they're being asked to give him more power. So it's certainly a delicate balance that Boehner's striking. But, while anything's possible, I don't think that they're going to walk away. But this is the modern House Republican caucus, so anything's possible.
Well, what if Donald Trump, now a candidate for the Republican primary, and who we should say has a favorable, unfavorable rating, essentially within the margin of error of Jeb Bush? Okay, what if who is anti giving fast track authority to President Obama? What if he comes out strong against it?
Well, if he becomes president, we wouldn't really need this deal because, this is kind of the entire purpose of this thing is, in the geopolitical jockeying against China. And Donald Trump beats China every single day. So, just leave it to Donald Trump.
All right, let me make my Donald Trump argument to you right now. I know we just got like 2 or 3 minutes here, okay? Let me make my Donald Trump argument to you because everybody is mocking this guy for being a buffoon. Completely warranted. Totally agree. Although Ben Carson, also a freaking buffoon. Half of the 3/4, I think, of the Republican primary field essentially have said stuff maybe not as self-aggrandizing as Trump, but that's just because they're not. That's just because they're politicians. On a policy standpoint, the only thing that is misaligned with Donald Trump, the only thing that is not standard issue Republican on that debate stage is that he doesn't want to cut Social Security. That's it. That's the only thing that makes him an outlier in terms of policy. What do you, when you think about his impact on that stage, what do you think it's going to be?
I think you overestimate policy and how policy plays into the Republican primary. It's a much more emotional kind of contest than it is one about ticking off lists of.
Then doesn't Trump win?
Lists of policies.
Then doesn't Trump win twice because he's tough?
He's
rich.
So, the Republican.
He's not going to take guff from these guys.
They're torn between, their emotions and their need to kind of vent their rage at the loss of the country and that the moral foundations crumbling, and the pragmatism that always seems to win out, where they say, okay, well, we're really angry and we'd love to really elect somebody who's going to yell at people, but in fact we hate Democrats so much we're gonna suck it up and pick the pragmatic choice, like somebody like Mitt Romney, who's electable and looks like a president. Hasn't worked out for them in the last several cycles, but they historically kind of veer between this emotionality and pragmatism, and pragmatically Donald Trump has a hill to climb.
Perhaps, but who is the all right? But who's the pragmatic choice then?
That's probably Scott Walker, Marco Rubio. I
right.
don't know. They don't have any obvious ones. I'd probably say Scott Walker is your most boring choice.
I agree with you, but I'll tell you something. That's the thing, is that I think this is the year. Now, I don't think Donald Trump is going to win, but I think he's going to literally knock a couple of these guys out of contention, because he's going to get on that stage and he's going to say things that nobody else is willing to say. And the Republican Party has zero leverage with him. He doesn't care about being anybody's VP. He's going to leave the race in January or February and sign back on to The Apprentice for 1.5 times what he's getting now. And, promotional, and they're going to get the APM slot and all that because he's going to be more renowned. And meanwhile, he's going to leave a wake of just carnage. Because
he did a good job savaging Jeb Bush yesterday.
Yes. And what does Jeb Bush say? You've been bankrupt 4 times? He turns around and says, I am worth $9 billion. The entire Republican Party has been basically saying anybody's worth $9 billion, they should be appointed president. Never mind have to go through this.
Right.
I mean, that's their whole thing. You don't like Mexicans. Well, tell me, don't you want a wall? They're all going to say, yes, I want a wall. I mean, that's the thing, is that he's Teflon to them. And I think it's going to be, I think the impact he's going to have on this race is being completely underestimated because he's a buffoon. That's the Republican Party. I'm sorry. I mean,
he's the it of it. No, I think you make a good point.
That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear from you, Ryan. All right, so what's the first thing we should be watching for? When does this vote happen, if it's going to happen, if the House is going to move into this direction? They have until the end of July to get this sort of plan in action?
Yeah, I think we'll see it early next week. So the order is first the House goes. So you want to watch to see if all of these Democrats, or enough of them, hang on for it to pass the House. Then they do the workers' assistance over in the Senate. So then you've done that. Then the serious question is can the Senate pass fast track, the same fast track that the House just passed, and send that to the White House? The president has promised he wouldn't sign fast track without workers' assistance, but he'd be in that same position where he'd be saying, well, I'm going to sign it because I don't actually believe that you Democrats are going to, kill this. And if you kill it, it's on you, not on me, because here it is. You want to vote for it, vote for it.
So right now we're going to see a lot of these progressive organizations start to target these senators and saying, don't trust John Boehner. Don't leave workers in a lurch. Yeah, if they have their congressional game together, that's who they'd be targeting now. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Ryan Grimm, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it.